Hi, welcome to the video explaining the process for the mastered modelling task. The first thing I did was conduct research to decide how and what I was going to model. I looked at the brief and saw various examples like the sci-fi chests, some stylized ones and some medieval looking ones. In the end I decided to go with the old style chest. I then started to gather references, some real life examples, some examples in 3D and in games, and some more abstract ones to give me varied ideas. After this, I then began the modelling process. I started with a block out to get a sense of proportion and the different components I would need to model. I then began to add more detail. I replaced the square that was in place of the wood with modelled planks, and then applied bevels to both these and the metal frame. I used the Boolean tool to cut out the keyhole shape in the lock and modelled the hinges on the back. I then moved on to the UVs. I deleted the existing default UVs and used the camera projection to display the mesh. I then created cuts in the non-visible edges so the seams wouldn't be visible in Substance Painter. I then unwrapped them and created a rough layout, and then with the layout function I increased the shell padding and laid them out onto one sheet. I made sure all the wooden panels were also facing the same way up, so when they were being textured in Substance Painter, all the grains and detail was facing the right way. For the export, I deleted the history and froze the transformations so it didn't cause errors when I went to texture them, and then I exported this in an FBX format. When I opened the mesh in Substance Painter, I baked the texture maps at 2K and increased the secondary rays so my mesh would have more detail. I then changed the blend mode as I wanted to add emissives to the inside of the chest. I made my own wood texture smart material, which included wood grains, damage and surface detail, as well as colour and roughness variation. When it came to the metal, I researched what the chest would have been made out of and found out it was a form of iron. I then used the iron old texture that was in Substance already and changed the colour and the edge damage. I also then added rivets in a paint layer using the paraboloid brush and edited the height and colour as well. Lastly was the gold. I applied a gold emissive to a cube which was inside of the chest in Maya, which I then exported with the chest to Substance Painter. I also added some post-processing like glare and anti-aliasing to increase the effect. Overall, I felt the project went really well. I was able to make my own texture, I added rivets to the metal which added good detail, it fit the brief well, and I was really happy with how the emissive in the chest turned out. What didn't go so well is that I could have added more environmental damage, like chips and scratches and dents in the metal, as well as more detail on the mesh itself.